Chers amis internautes, bon après-midi. Merci d'être avec nous sur le GRF Web TV. Alors aujourd'hui, on démarre avec une nouvelle émission qui s'appelle Rencontre avec. Et c'est une nouvelle rubrique de chaque vendredi au niveau de la GRF Web TV. Où nous allons rencontrer des intervenants de différentes sociétés, de la société qui aident à œuvrer et améliorer la vie des gens de tous bords. Pour commencer la première émission d'aujourd'hui, j'accueille en studio Madame Charlene Van Zyl, qui est directrice au niveau de Living Change. C'est une société de la formation au niveau des différents types de formation au niveau des personnes âgées. Alors, étant donné qu'elle est d'origine sud-africaine, donc je vais shifter sur l'anglais, où elle est plus à l'aise. Alors, Charlene Van Zyl, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Beejaye. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you in our studio, and you're one of the first guests for our new program, which we started today, which is Rencontre avec. So, Charlene Van Zyl, I was just introducing you in terms of who you are by the name and your organization, which is called Living Change. But it would be better if you could just give us a brief description, a brief idea about who is Charlene Van Zyl, what you do, and we'll speak about Living Change probably a little bit later, but basically we would like to know, and the viewers would like to know, who is Charlene Van Zyl?
Okay, so yes, my name is Charlene. I am from South Africa. I am married and I've got two beautiful boys. So yeah, we live in Ghurburrun. We moved to Mauritius about 9 years ago for my husband's work. So yeah, we're very, very happy on this beautiful little island. So my background is occupational therapy, and this is what I studied for and what I did in South Africa. But I've always wanted to work with older people, and so before we moved to Mauritius, I worked for quite a few years at a retirement village, and I was the main occupational therapist there. And yeah, this is where my career started, in working with older people.
Excellent. Just for the viewers and myself, who is not from probably the medical or the caring care field, what is a physiotherapist? What do they do, generally speaking?
Okay, so an occupational therapist in French is, I think, therapist ergonomique.
Yes.
And so it's a very wide, how can I say, there's a lot of people that you can work with when you are an occupational therapist. A lot of occupational therapists are known for working with children with learning difficulties, but you can work with any person that is living with a disability, and as for myself, that worked with older people. But an occupational therapist is about helping a person to become as independent as possible with whatever struggles they might have. And we focus a lot on activities. So, for instance, if a person had suffered from a stroke, then their activities of daily living, which is your personal, your self-care, all of those things will be influenced because you have now a different way of doing things because of a loss of function. So we then work with that person and see how we can get them back to be as independent as possible, either by regaining function, or if in case you cannot regain function, how can you adjust an environment, or how can you give them certain tools to help them to still continue to live a good quality life with their difficulties.
Excellent. So in general, it would be for anyone, not specifically for all people. So
no, it depends on the person and in which field they specialize. So for me, I wanted to work with older people, but I also specialized a bit more in working with people with neurological conditions, for instance, stroke or brain injury, etc. Okay.
So you say you've been here for 9 years now,
yes.
technically, and as you described that you do love being here. I also understand that you have your own organization, which is called Living Change.
Yes.
Interesting name in terms of Living Change. So tell us the story about Living Change, how it came about, why Living Change, and I do believe there is a link between what your your qualifications are with what you are doing in Living Change. So tell us a little bit about that.
So, well, when I came to the island, I wanted to immediately jump back into the field and work with, you know, doing what I love. But it was quite hard at the beginning. I didn't, you know many people. It was a different culture, different language. So it took some time for me to kind of find my feet here. But in that time, I kind of realized that I wanted to start doing training in the field of person-centered care, and for anyone in the working with older people, because this is what I really loved in South Africa, and I've done various trainings, you know, in the field myself. So then I started the organization called Living Change, and I started it in around 2017. So the focus of the organization is on the well-being of older people and showing that they are still a very important part of society. And then the biggest services is to give consulting on elder care, and then trainings offered to care homes or people working in the field of aged care. So the training is focused on, like I said, person-centered care and individualized care, and it also includes some training from Eden Alternative, which is an international organization which focus is on person-centered care in organizations for like care homes. So the name, why I chose the name is because I really wanted to see a change in the way of, like, we'll talk a little bit about it later, but there is a change needed in this field, and I wanted to share different ways in which we can try to be that change, to make that change. And I feel that the only way that you can really truly bring change is by living that way, by showing people through your own ways how to do that. And so for me, training certain people to do things a certain way, in that way that can bring the change, because the way that they do things will let other people want to do things in a different way. So for me, it was kind of that idea of, like, seeds spreading, you know, and, like, in that way bringing a living change around the island, hopefully one day. but it did start back in South Africa as well, because you have the roots that you did a few things back there as well, and you carried on when you came back when you came down here. Why senior citizens? Is there a particular reason that you chose that category of the population, or is it because everyone knows around the world, and even in Mauritius, which it is a greater impact, is that we do have an aging population, and it is the same factor around the world as well. I think we have the figures from World Health Organization that by 2050, I think will be over 50% of the population would be over 60 or would be going towards the old age or senior citizen that will be there. So any particular reason why, or that reason as well, which is the main reason for you to choose that category of people? Yeah, so I think for me, the reason has always been personal. I've always had a love for older people. I think I was maybe just, like they say, born this way. But yeah, I really loved my grandparents, and I was blessed with extra sets of grandparents, and I always loved to spend time with them. And even other older people. It wasn't just my grandparents. I think older people have such wonderful stories to share, and they've got these great experiences they've had in life, and they've got so much wisdom that they can share with us if we, take the time to be with them. So this has definitely been a personal passion of mine. But yes, there is a huge need for this. We are living in an aging population, Mauritius definitely also specifically. And this means that if you have an aging population, you need to be aware of what the needs are of that aging population, and you need to be aware of what is the right approach, what is the the way that things should be done. And unfortunately, things have been done a specific way for many years, but worldwide there's a recognition that there should be a different way of doing things. And just on another personal note that I think most people can have for themselves is we are all aging. We are, every day you are becoming older, and all of us will need in some other way.
I don't like that sound,
No,
but it is true.
We all have to face that we are scared of becoming older and all the problems that can come with it. But yes, we are, and so hopefully we are creating then a better future for ourselves too, if we are doing the work now.
Okay, it's a big reason, yes, and there is also the opportunity about with the fact that there is a growing number of people getting into that category of the age where there would potentially be more requirements and needs for that. Who are those people whom you train? Are they the people we're looking at in terms of care homes only? We're looking at clinics, hospitals, individuals? Who are those people that you're looking at?
So the biggest part of my training so far has been focused on care homes, because specifically the Eden Alternative that I do training in is focused on institutionalization and how we can change that and how we can move away from that. Who attends that training is literally everyone. It can be for everyone in that
so
care
that is
home
that is there is no restriction in a certain way.
It is actually recommended from the manager to the cleaner to the
so
gardener
it's the top to bottom
to the,
approach
even
that
the doctor
there.
Because unfortunately the institutional model as it affects everyone that's working in that environment, and it has given us a certain way of doing things and looking at. So if everyone is not understanding this new way, this alternative, then then it will not make sense. So it's really good to have everyone involved.
Coming to that element itself, with your expertise and with the experience that you've had for the many years you've been in this particular field, and specifically now we're talking about the local context, which is Mauritius, of course. What is not being done, or what are the things that are currently being done but which technically would not fit probably certain standards within that particular sector? Could you just elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so this is again, it's a worldwide thing. So worldwide, for the last few decades, we have had a very kind of like specific way of viewing older people. We see them as a burden to society. This is how governments look at it, because it puts a lot of like extra costs on the way that they have to care for them. We see them as often frail and as incapable of still contributing. And this is an ageist view of that society has of older people, and it affects each one of us, because this is how we are raised. And then we also had a very institutionalized way of taking care of older people. So the intention was good. At some stage there was a older people that had to be taken care of, and it couldn't be done anymore in families' homes. And so they took what they knew, which was a very hospital way, and they said, okay, let's look after people in this way. So the intention was good. We wanted to care in a good way. Medical way is what we know for older people. But if all of us think of like a time that we spent in a hospital in our lives, you do not want to spend your last days of your life or your last kind of home that is supposed to be your home, that you don't want that to feel like a hospital. But unfortunately, that is the reality we have. So the trainings that we offer a difference. We say we want to move away from this institutional model. We want to move towards a home, because it is truly their home. And so this is
because it is because more so that those category of people probably will find themselves in care homes or in hospitals environment for the last 5-10 years probably. So that's a long time, and that's basically what you do in terms of the trainings, to bring that aspect of caring in terms of as being at home. So that's what you're referring to.
Because if you have 10 years left to live, it should be a life worth living still. And unfortunately, it's not so easy in an institutional
and sometimes it's more than that as well.
Yes, exactly. So the focus for us again is also on the relationships and not the tasks, which in an institutional model the tasks are very important, but we say no, the relationships are very important. To know each person, to know their story, and seeing them as people that are still capable and have potential. So we focus less on the disease, the disabilities, the frailty, and see what can they still do, what can they still offer. So it's really like a very different way of looking at things, a big mind shift change.
And that's exactly where it brings me to the element which I'm aware that you build or you have within those trainings that you're offering, is what we call the person-centered care. I call it the PCC, but it's more the person-centered care. So would you please elaborate? I think you've started off with that aspect of it. So what is person-centered care? I think as the term it says, it's putting the person at the center of it.
Yes.
So could you just please elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, exactly. So as the
name, and looking at the issues that you mentioned in terms of the institutionalization, the hospital aspect, etc., so that converts things into more being the person at the center of the attention, things like that.
So, like the name say, person-centered care is that the person should be at the center of their care, since the care is for them. But this is an easy term to say, but it's in reality it's not that easy to do. So as people get older, we really see that a lot of their decisions gets taken away from them. It's a very top-down approach of taking care of them, where the health professionals are the experts, and sometimes even the family members become the experts and make a lot of decisions for them, and they need to do what they are told. This is again worldwide. This is what happens as people age.
So it's not specific to Mauritius.
No,
it's
not
something
specific
much wider.
Exactly. So, but this is even more exaggerated in institutional care homes, because there, if you think about it, the person literally, every decision is being made for them. It's decided when they get woken up. It's decided what, sometimes even what they wear. It's decided when they will eat, what they will eat. So basically their whole daily functioning and routine is decided by what suits the organization and not what works for the person. So this is, again, person-centered care moves a bit back to, why are we not looking at what the person wants? And yes, it's very difficult sometimes in big organizations, but then the person-centered care training gives us a bit more tools on how can we do that.
Listening to you about the person-centered care, there's one word that is coming to my mind as well, is human rights, because we should not forget that even if someone is old, he's still a human being and has its own rights. So I think that's what the person-centered care does as well for those people. But why person-centered care? Why is it important, and what is the difference from other types of cares that are being given in care homes, in hospitals, in clinics, in other institutions, not only in Mauritius as we said, but around the world? So what is different between person-centered care and the other types of care that is being given in these institutions?
Okay, so why person-centered care, except for the fact that it makes sense and it should be like that. It is recommended by the World Health Organization, and as we see in many countries around the world, that there are organizations that are working really hard at making people aware of that. This
so it is a recommendation by World Health Organization,
and this is
really important.
I'm saying. Yes, in many countries we see movements towards this. We see people really trying, and yes, specifically for older people that I'm talking about now, trying to make this happen. So Eden Alternative is just one of those movements, trying to make it more aware for people that this is the approach that should be used.
Would I be right to say that your person-centered care approach is based on what Eden Alternatives?
Yeah, so person-centered care, I would say, is the underlying philosophy of Eden Alternative. But we have other ones. You have Pioneer Network. You've got, there are many names you could Google. So Eden Alternative is one specific philosophy with specific tools that is used. So, but the principles, underlying principles of person-centered care is more or less the same. So it's more than just putting the person first or in the middle. In person-centered care, we see a need for really the recognition and a really connection with the person. We've, again, like I said, we focus on the strengths and their goals, and so not just like what we see is wrong and how to fix that in a way. And it's a very interdisciplinary approach, and the recognition of the importance, like I said, of relationships. So like, for instance, one term that I can use that is used by Eden Alternative is called care partner. So what that means is that everyone working, supporting the person in that group is called a care partner, which balance the field a bit, because we're saying like the older person has just as much part of their own care as other people. So it's not that they are only receiving care all the time, but they are actually actively part of their care, and we have to then really look for strengths and work on their goals and what they want. So this is kind of what it is. It's I would say person-centered care constantly challenge us to ask, how can we do better, and how do I want to be cared for when I'm older? So,
would person-centered care approach be only for senior people, for older people, or it can be for anyone requiring a particular care or treatment in a particular institution?
So, no, it's definitely not just for older people. It's recommended for many different age groups and areas of care. And if you like, Google it or look for it, you will see that it's really a broad spectrum of care. I think that's kind of the ideal way of caring, even though there are many things that can complicate this. For instance, knowing that a person like when they are not able to verbally communicate this to you, that's really hard to do, because now the person cannot tell you what are their needs, what are their likes, what are their preferences, what are their strengths. But then with person-centered care, we are taught to look differently at things, and we are taught to have the tools to be able to still see that those things, even though a person cannot verbally tell you that. We look at also like differently at the difficult behaviors. Often people just see if people are not compliant with the whatever the medical approach is for the person, then they say they have difficult behaviors. We often hear like, this person's difficult, they have all these like difficult behaviors, and then we say, but isn't that maybe just telling us a need of that person? So maybe instead of looking at it as a difficult behavior, what are the needs that are actually communicating to you? So how do this person have any well-being in their life? And if not, like, how can we add to that? So thinking of how would we react if we didn't have any more well-being in our lives? Would we not show difficult behaviors? So you really have to keep on challenging the way you see things, and you actually have to advocate for the people that you are supporting. So
there's that element of advocating as well.
Definitely.
But how do you do that in terms of being in an environment which I wouldn't say difficult, but it is quite daunting at the same time for someone to be in that particular. But how does your training provide or cater for that aspect for the carers or the potential carers to look after that as well?
I think it gives a lot of tools that does help you with that. But again, what I say to my students as well is you living the example, living that change, because even the other day I was in a scenario where a person was talking to me. She's a carer, and the person that was being cared for was next to me, and she was talking about this person as if this person was not there. And I continued to try and talk to this person and ask her the questions that this person was telling me to show, but we are here, she's here, let's include her in the conversation. Let's not like pretend like she's not there.
Simple things like these. Simple
and so
things like
you
these.
need to sometimes you might have to be strict and say something, but often I find just showing a better way can maybe open a person's eyes.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Charlene, for all these explanations. As I mentioned earlier, we have our regular followers on our social media platform, and just now on Facebook, we have a comment from Omila Kiran Ramphol Dole. I think she intervened the last time in one of our colleagues program with Ramaya Sapa. She just mentioned that prise en charge spécialisée est une valeur ajoutée non négligeable, which technically means that special care that is being taken with patients are non-negligible, which is, it does have a value add in terms of what is being done.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Umila. Much appreciated. So we'll continue with the second part of the interview and the program. Coming back to the whole aspect of the training. We mentioned about living change. We mentioned about the various trainings going on, and there is another aspect of the trainings that you have been delivering. There is a collaboration with Global Rainbow Foundation. So how did it start, and of course how it is going as well? So we would love to understand how this collaboration started and how it kick-started, by the way, and was it just like it came through, or it was something specific happened? So, and I think it's not a bad thing that has happened up until now as well, because it's a beautiful collaboration that is ongoing, that I understand that is ongoing. So just give us a little idea of how it started and what's the collaboration all about with Global Rainbow Foundation. As we know, Global Rainbow Foundation is an NGO. We are in the studios of the Global Rainbow Foundation itself today. So Global Rainbow Foundation is an institution, an organization which caters for various activities in terms of the disability, mainly which is the disability sector. So just tell us a little bit about how all this started off with Global Rainbow Foundation in terms of collaboration.
Okay, so yes, I met Dr. Parshuraman.
Who doesn't know Mr. Parshuraman?
Yes. It was in 2017, I think, around, and there was a 3-day memory training that GRF arranged. I cannot remember.
Memory training?
Yes, and so I went there, and we started talking, and I told him about my passion and my ideas, and yeah, he was immediately interested on how we can work together on this wonderful cause. So we worked together on a project.
Well, he sees opportunities everywhere.
Right away, we worked on a project, and then in October 2017, we had an expert in the field of senior care, who is also a personal friend of mine, Dr. Rain Strubel. He flew over from South Africa, and he did the first 3-day workshop in person-centered care on the island. So we had 50 participants, and I think it went really well, and this was the beginning of our relationship together. So GRF really has supported me in many different endeavors. We've done some projects together, and yeah, Dr. Parshuraman is very passionate about making changes for senior citizens in Mauritius too. So as from 2021, last year, all Living Changes courses have been registered with GRF, who is a registered training institute. And yeah, thanks to you, Mr. Beejaye Ramchurn, the excellent training director of GRF.
Thank you very much, Charlene.
And training coordinator, Ms. Nayab Narod. We managed to get a new 3-month course in health and senior care up and running. And so far it has had many positive effects, I think.
Excellent. Yes, it has been. Yes, I'm part of the story as well, because we did meet since last year, and we've been working on various avenues for this training to get approved and to be able to start off with these. It's a long story, I know, but we'll cut it short there for the time being. You mentioned about the various trainings that has been approved within the collaboration with Global Rainbow Foundation. You also mentioned, yes, Global Rainbow Foundation does also have an MQA approved training center, which is located at Petit Rafeu, where the headquarters are. But of course, we also offer various training services through the various regional offices that we have for Global Rainbow Foundation, and by working with experts like you in the field, we also happen to be able to offer specialist courses, specialist trainings to various corporates as well, various people who are in specific fields like care homes, which we are discussing right now. So one of the trainings which has been approved for some time back, and I know how much of a struggle we went through to be able to get this going as well, but all said and done, I think we are on the very right track right now. And I would like to listen to you about how is the health and senior care training, which is the current training that is ongoing, how it started, what is it all about, how is it being delivered, any specific mode that is being used to deliver, etc., etc. So if you could just elaborate on that.
Sure.
So it's the health and senior care, and the theme of the program for today is exactly the health and senior care training, and that's exactly what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
Please.
Good. Yeah. So yes, we worked a really long time to get the health and senior care training registered. So we finally, well, I think first of all, why it was because of this need of really having a training in the field of health and senior care, but with the specific focus on person-centered care. So not only the to be able to do the tasks and to have the skills necessary in this field, but to really have this approach that is, like we said, recommended by World Health Organization. So we started this training actually this year on a very special day, which was the 1st of October, which is National Day for Older People.
Yes.
So it was really nice to be able to do it on that day. The course is 3 months long. It includes 14 theoretical sessions, which adds up to about 98 hours, as well as 3 weeks of practical sessions at various organizations, which again adds up to about 100 hours. I also have 6 Mauritian trainers that are working with me, ranging from occupational therapists, physio and speech therapists, as well as registered nurses, all of them having a specific passion for working with older people.
Such a team to be able to help you.
And they are a great team.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough to experience a few sessions along with you. Was it hard to get these people on board with you with so much of various diverse expertise that they have?
It was not that hard as I thought. We actually did advertise, but I must say in the end it was more word of mouth. Like, so I met people, you know, you go to networking kind of things, or you meet somebody when I go to a care home and I do something there, like so. And some I met through GRF. So
I was going to come to that point, and some of them are from Ghurburrun Foundation.
So it's in the end, the people that I found was more people that I really myself started having relationships from, and we realized we have we're very like-minded way of thinking about this. So at the beginning of this year I did a specific train the trainer course for them to prepare them for again, just in the approach. They are all experts in their own field. And they've been part of this 3-month project, so that's been great.
Excellent. Just talking about the training, I think, would not be giving its due. So what we have is you sent us some very beautiful small clips about the various trainings that are being currently carried out at the various locations. And I understand it's not only the theoretical part, it's the theoretical and the practical part. So can I please ask the technical team to please play the small clip about the various trainings ongoing right now.
Best practice. Mais tu connais la pratique qui va fonctionner. Ça, je sais. Surtout, tu dois me briser, je te travaille sous pression. Oui, ça c'est sûr. Mais nous, je voulais la seule règle qui est là.
So Charlene, we could see from these small clips, the participants look really excited about the whole practical aspects of the training going on. I also believe you mentioned it earlier in terms of your collaboration, not only with Ghurburrun Foundation, but also with the various care homes as well. And I believe some of these clips that we've just seen, which we have just seen, is from the various care homes, that where you are delivering the trainings. How are you collaborating with these care homes? Who are those care homes? And was it difficult for you to be able to engage them along with for this particular training, mainly talking about the health and senior care?
So with the care homes, we work together with quite a few care homes. So first of all, just to mention, like Le Jardin de Chantenay, who's situated in Mocha, who they've been extremely supportive of this whole training. They've offered us a venue to be able to do the training as central as possible for people to be able to easily come. And then we have a relationship with them for this specific training with BG Care Home, BPS Nursing Home, as well as Rosie Lamem Home. So the relationships, I think, has formed with me doing trainings at some of the homes, and also various projects. So I've with Living Change, I've done other projects that's not specifically training, but that is more focused on just sharing some. We had for instance, a project where we shared people's dreams, and so the older people and the carers and some younger people were sharing their dreams together, and just to showcase that older people can still dream and have big dreams, etc. So again, it's relationship building through years that I've have gotten to form some relationships with these homes, and they've offered that we could do our practical sessions at the organizations, and I'm very thankful for that. And them as well as the mentors at each home that were looking after the students have been very supportive in helping them to complete their practical assignments.
How important is it from a participant point of view that to engage these care homes for the practical parts? Because we believe after the training, these people will potentially be employed or be looking for employment in such environments. So how important it is from your perspective?
The practical part is almost the most important part. Yes, with the theory we work a lot on the approach, and we focus a lot on activities that are giving them actually empathy and a different understanding of things. But the practical is where you learn the skills. You cannot in a theoretical environment physically show a person all the skills that they need. That's a hands-on experience, and that is why it was important for us to have 3 full weeks of them for having practical experience in the kind of organizations where they would potentially work in later.
So would I be right to say that within these 3 months of training that the health and senior care training goes for, you almost have equal amount of time for practicals, or even more amount of practicals compared to whatever the theoretical parts are? So which means that these participants do get more hands-on experience within the care homes to be able to put on their CV and on their qualification at the end of the day. So I think it's a very valid and important point from a perspective of a prospective participant tomorrow, maybe for your next batch that you have. So some people would be interested to get in the next batch of training. So it's not only the theoretical part, but you're looking also at all the aspects of the practical side as well, because that's the real live environment where tomorrow these people would find themselves potentially employed or working into.
Exactly.
Another view of that practical aspect is when your participants are doing these practicals, are these practicals on a regular basis, or is it once in 1 week, or is it something already scheduled with the care homes? Just tell us a little bit about how you.
So we spaced it. It is we do some theory as an introduction, a few sessions. Then they have 1 week practicals at the same home. Then we have more theoretical sessions, and then they sometimes switch to a different home. But then they have another full on week, and then again the last theory, and then a full week. We wanted it to have it like that, so that we can have time where they come back, we can debrief, we can go through what did they find difficult, what did they really love about it, and obviously also in their practicals they get supervision from myself and some of my trainers, so they can also physically ask us when they are there how to do certain things.
Excellent. You mentioned earlier about the fact that you're getting support from the mentors at these care homes. How essential is that?
I think it's very essential, again, because if you need to learn, and there needs to be somebody to guide that learning process. So, you know, if they are just going there and there's not specifically assigned people to help them to achieve the goals that I either give to them from the assignments they have or that they really wish to learn, then that would be really hard. You can't also, in a home, it's really important that you cannot just use an older person like they are just, you know, something for you to do your training on.
Yes.
So the mentor is essential in that part too, so that they can actually make sure that it's okay with the resident and that the resident understand that these are students that are wanting to learn and that it's their will, this is their choice for them to spend time with the students.
Right. Coming to the other aspect of this training is you have the participants who are going to finish the training in a couple of weeks' time, I understand, and they would be graduating or having the certificates once completing the session and the courses. But as we know that the healthcare sector around the world is a huge recruiter, and the participants who are currently studying or currently completing this course, I'm sure they would also have some ambitions in terms of not only maybe working locally here, maybe working abroad as well. And I think it's the case, as I said, it's a huge recruiter in that particular field. We said why, because in the introduction we also said we know that there's an aging population around the world, so there is the need and requirement for that as well. So how does that fit into your program of training, that whoever completes this particular training, or even a potential participant tomorrow comes into the course as a new batch, as I said, as of next year probably, would they have a value add of this qualification being of an international level? How would that work? Do you have such collaboration for now, or is it something that you're working towards? Could you please tell us a little more about it? Because I think you get the point that these people, as I said, there is a huge need around the world, not only in Mauritius. Well, we still have many people that we do not have this into this particular sector, and that's one of the reasons why you are delivering the training, to be able to have trained people in this particular sector. But we also understand that it's a huge recruit around the world, so potentially people could be trying to look outside as well. So if that is an opportunity, I think this is a very good example for these people to come and take this course as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I think exactly like you said, the need in Mauritius for carers are big itself. So this is, for me, it's important that, yes, I do train people that are Mauritian and that can cater for that need. But yes, of course, people would want to know that if they do a training, that could maybe potentially mean other opportunities for them in the future. So for me, that was important, and the training modules and outcomes were discussed with a colleague of mine. She's in the UK, but she is a Mauritian lady. So her name's Mrs. Patricia Gooden-Husbands. She's an advanced dementia practitioner, and she's actually a care home quality compliance consultant, which is a big mouthful, but it means that she actually goes to care homes and makes sure that they comply to the standards of care. So yeah, we made sure with her that the course outlines and the outcomes is actually up to standard with what is expected for instance, a carer in the UK. So we work together with her and some other organizations to make sure there's potential for people that complete the course. Even though I am not part of the recruitment business, that there's at least other organizations that know about the training and that the students will have a connection with and be can make contact with them.
Excellent. So technically, if anyone follows the training and finish the training successfully, there is the opportunity, there is a possibility that they would be having opportunity elsewhere as well.
Yeah.
For example, in the UK. Excellent. The health and senior care training been ongoing for, you mentioned it started on 1st October. When is it ending? You planning anything in terms of those students, those participants who are going to complete the course? Anything planned that?
So yes, the training will end with the last week of practicals. So like I've mentioned, so we've got I think we have 3 more theoretical sessions left, and then we have our last practical week. So this session, the last practical session, will end on the 9th of December. And yes, then we will have our graduation ceremony that will be held on the 13th of December, and that the students are really much looking forward towards.
I happened to meet a couple of them during my interactions during the past few days, and they are excited, I can tell you. They are really excited. Yes, they are. That's about in terms of the health and senior care training that is currently happening in the various care homes and in collaboration with Ghurburrun Foundation. We mentioned that. What about if anyone, probably after this program, would like to enroll or would like to approach to get in touch with you, Ghurburrun Foundation? What are the requirements for a particular person to be enrolled on this particular course, the health and senior care, which in other words is also a carer training, which is not the healthcare assistant, but is a health care training that you deliver. So what would be the requirements for a person to be enrolled on this particular course, Charlene?
So BJ, maybe you can just help me with what the minimum requirements was that we set for a person to...
As per the requirements for the MQA, the people need to be at least school certificate level.
Okay.
They need to have a school certificate level, and of course they should be able to understand basic English as well, to be able to.
But at the same time, we do have our Mauritian trainers. If it's not like their first language, they struggle a bit with English, so it is at least offered in both languages. But for me, the only other requirement is an interest into working with older people. So if anyone is interested to find out more, they can contact either GRF on 264-3103, and I would suggest they follow both Living Change and probably already following GRF's
Foundation.
The social media pages to see for Living Change on Facebook to just see any upcoming information. We usually will put a link for registration where they can fill in all their details, and that should be available very soon for the next batch.
Yes, Ghurburrun Foundation and Living Change, they're both very active on social media, and especially on Facebook. And Charlene mentioned the contact number is 264-3103. So that's the number that you need to contact. And probably when you call, please ask for Miss Nayab. She will be there to help in terms of getting your basic details and your information. Then we'll return the call to you. One of the aspects which potentially after all we've discussed, potential participants would like or love to know is combien ça coûte? What does it cost?
Of course.
What does it cost? Because it is a training, as we said, and we've already mentioned how intensive the training is and how interesting the training is. So there is a lot of value add into what Living Change is doing in collaboration with Ghurburrun Foundation. So does it cost? Or and if it costs, how much does it cost? And are there any facilities that you offer for your participants? Because the course is not a once-off. It is on a 3-month duration, so it's quite long. So it's not that short. So please, can you just...
So we really try to, I would say, be as flexible, to try and make it as easily accessible for people that have an interest in this training as possible. So first of all, just to say that this is why it's part-time over a period of 3 months, is that so that people that are working, it could be easier for them and they would not have to take, just a huge amount of time from work to be able to complete the course, because we do understand that people need to work and earn the money. So at the same time, we also offer, so the full cost of the 3-month course is 25,000 rupees. We offer also that you can pay it in different segments, installments. So again, to make it a bit more easier chunks of payments.
Flexible. Yeah, it's more flexible for the participants too. Okay. There is something that you mentioned. I unfortunately didn't catch it earlier, but I think I did right now. Is when we mention about the profile of the participants, it is not necessarily only for those people who are not working, but it is also for those people who are working as well.
Yes.
So it's for working people. It could be within the sector, or
Yes.
it could be not within the sector, but who are looking to change over as well. So you have
We
current
have some
students. You have current students
that
currently
are
who are
currently working as carers, but wanted a diploma in this field,
Mm-hmm.
and so for them it has also been an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I can honestly say that they feel like they've learned a lot even after being many years in this field.
Okay, but do you have your current students? Do you have anyone who is not from the carer field and who are now
Yes.
getting into that?
So we have about
So
half,
it's a change.
I would say.
It's a change.
Yes.
It's a change of their.
We have some that have never been in the field,
Oh.
and they really want to make big changes in their
That's
career
good.
pathways. Yes,
That's good.
and then we have some that have been in the field.
Excellent. When is the next batch? When is the next training happening, Charlene?
So if we have enough participants, definitely by February next year.
2023.
Yes.
So we're starting off in February 2023.
Yes.
Excellent. We have a small clip. Well, it's a small clip. It's around 2 minutes of some of the selected photos of the actual training happening within the care homes, where we can see the various senior citizens, these care homes as well, and the participants, and Charlene as well, along in some of the photos. So we've built up a small clip, a selection of all these photos. So if possible, I would ask the technical team to please go ahead with it. Yeah, the technical team says thumbs up to me. So there we are, exciting students, participants, happy the residents at the care homes. So we've almost reached the end of this first web TV program of Rencontre avec. It's been a pleasure to have you, Charlene. But before we end, I would love to hear from you about the Living Change mission and the health and senior care. How and why people should come to follow that. I think it's the person-centered care that you mentioned earlier. So we would like to end on that.
Well, so for me, this is again, I'll use words from Eden Alternative Training. They say that older people or elders instruct us in the art of caring. Mm-hmm. So this is to say that anyone can do tasks or they can do certain things with an older person or in this field, but to really have the connection and the right approach and to really build a true relationship with that person and to add to their well-being, that is only something that an artist can do. So we actually call people working in this field world makers, because you go into the world of that older person and you can make the world better for them. So if you want to make the world a better place, you can start here.
Thank you very much, Charlene. With those words, we can all make the world better. Thank you very much, all those watching us live today. It's been a pleasure to be with you. I'll see you next week. Thank you very much. Have a nice afternoon. Bye-bye.